Hello my loves, and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, welcome baby. Listen, stick around. I hope you like what you see, and do consider subscribing. If this is not your first time here, I don't even know why you guys make me say it. If this is not your first time here, you better be subscribed, honey. Guys, we are in week 3 of my real estate journey. This is day 5. Day 5, guys, day 5. And I am so excited about day 5. Today is Saturday, May the 2nd. So it is May. I'm so excited about this month. It's actually my birthday month. My birthday is May 24th. Gemini season, honey. So I am feeling awesome, guys. I am looking forward to an awesome class today. It's going to go from 9 to 4 on today, guys. I'm really not going to talk that much. I'm going to record the class more than I talk. We're going to go through some math today, so I'm going to record a little bit of that math for you, and I'm going to record some of the lesson for you. So guys, without further ado, let's get into it, boo.
525, house listed on MLS for 520. Let's add the 0. And is assessed for taxes for 5/18/9. Went under contract August 1. Closed September 3. Taxes were not paid. The house is in Mooresville, Iredell County. Mooresville city tax is 52. Iredell County tax, Water, yeah. Alright, give it a shot. Give it a go. This is what we're going to do. Give this one a go for about 5 minutes.
Okay.
Well, 5 or 10, however long it takes, and then go ahead and break, and then we'll see at the top of the hour. But let's do this one before we break. Go for it. I'll sit here to answer some questions. Aside from that, give that bad boy a shot.
Copy it. So I have the example. 520. Says tax 5/18/9. Went under contract on August 1st and closed September 3rd. Taxes not paid. All right. Mooresville County. So guys, let me read it to you just in case you can't see it. House went on a contract $525,000. The house listed in the MLS for $520 and assessed for taxes for $518,900. The house went on the contract August 1st and closed September 3rd. The taxes were not paid. The house is in Mooresville, Aldera County, North Carolina. Mooresville city tax is 52 cents per $100, and the Aldera County tax is 91 cents per $100. What would the tax prorations be
coming up with same
for the
numbers.
closing disclosure?
Okay, some different numbers. Gosh, those are high taxes. Why in God's name would you want to live there?
So the answer that I came up with, guys, is $5,008.23. So we're gonna see. This is the first time that we've had an example like this. So we're gonna see what he says.
All over the map on this one, so let's make sure. Okay, so if I'm starting with this thing, the house went under contract 525. This is obviously a tax question. So the last line of this thing says what? What would be the tax proration?
Right.
What would the tax prorations be for this thing? So do I care what it went into contract for?
Nope.
No, not at all. Do I care it was on the market for 520? No, not at all. I care only about this number. 518.9.
Mm-hmm.
That's the number I'm looking at. Now, let's get the tax factor by dividing by 100. So if I've got 518,900, I've got a tax factor of 5189. Okay, now the house is in Mooresville, Iredell County. Am I using Iredell County tax? Of course I am, because the property is always in the county. In this case, is the house in the city? Yes. So I'm going to use both taxes, 0.52 plus my 0.91. 0.52 plus my 0.91. So I've got a tax rate of $1.43. So this is my tax factor. Then I've got my tax rates. Okay, let's figure out my ad valorem tax. My tax factor times my tax rate is my ad valorem tax of $74.20, and don't forget that 27 cents, because they want every bloody penny. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. We're on the road now.
Yep.
So the issue here is what's my daily amount of tax,
right,
and how many days to close. So if I divide that by 360, I get a daily tax of $20 and let's say 61 cents. That's my daily tax for the property. Now, the property is being closed on. Do I care when under contract August 1st? No, that's absolutely irrelevant. I care about my closing date, because the seller owns from the 1st of January up to and including day of closing.
Right.
So how many days am I talking about for closing? Well, I've got January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. That's 240 days, plus my 3 days of September. So I've got 243 days of taxes to the seller. We're not going to say what it is yet. 243 days times my daily rate. Equals $5,008.23. Now, if the whole year is we can divide that here by the seller portion of 5/8, 23, and the buyer portion of 1. If that's the seller portion, how much is the buyer portion? Well, let's subtract the seller portion out of my total year. The buyer so the buyer is responsible for $24.12 and 4 cents.
All right.
$24.12 and 4 cents.
And that is
Because
what I have.
5,008 and 23 cents plus $24.12 and 4 cents equals my whole year.
Exactly. Awesome.
Don't worry, we're going back, Anna. Don't worry, Anna, we're going back. So, now, the question for your taxes, remember, it's always going to be a double entry. So, on the exam, it would look like this.
Right.
Remember, this exam is multiple guess.
Right.
Choice. It's multiple choice. I call it multiple guess. These are not the answers. I'm giving you the options of what the exam would look like.
Right. Cool.
That's pretty consistent. Those would be your 4 options on the exam.
I gotta pick the best
Now,
one. The correct one, hopefully.
let me help you out here. We want to make this one easier, do we not?
Right.
I don't mind a shortcut if it's consistent.
Please.
Notice that here are those the same numbers? No. This question is about what? Double entry.
Right.
This question is about a double entry.
Right.
Because this question is about a double entry, I know I can cross out these guys. Why? Because they got 2 different numbers. Because they've got 2 different numbers, I can cross them out. Now I haven't even done anything, and I've narrowed it down to a 50-50 choice instead of a 25.
Right.
So now you got a 50% chance of getting it right rather than 25% chance just by crossing out the obvious.
Right.
Now, the taxes were not paid. Taxes. In this one here, the taxes are not paid.
Right.
If the taxes are not paid, that means who did later on in the year, Mr. Buyer's going to get stuck with the bill for $74.20.27.
Right.
He's going to get nailed with the bill at the end of the year.
Right.
So who is the slack and idle piece of crap who didn't pay taxes?
Right.
The seller. Therefore, Therefore, we've got to do what? Charge
At closing.
the seller.
Yeah.
If I'm going to charge the seller, it's a seller debit for 5,008.
And the buyer's credit.
Now, if I'm going to charge or debit the seller for 5,823, what do I have to do?
Credit
I've got to take that money and do what?
Credit the buyer.
Give it to the buyer.
Right.
So how do we say to give something to somebody?
Credit.
Buyer credit. For how much money? The exact same money.
Right.
Now, Mr. Buyer, don't get all excited that you're getting a $5,000 credit at closing.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get all excited, because we're going to take that and put it into escrow, because you're going to have to pay that $5,000 in a couple of months.
Right.
To pay for the seller's taxes he never paid.
Mm-hmm.
Backing up here. Are you paying your taxes in advance? Possibly.
Right.
Well, we're going to get to that one. We are. I'm about to flip that one and you're going to see it.
Mm-hmm.
You get everything right up into the... Okay, so you don't get everything up into the 74, 20, 27 divided by 360. Okay, so so if this is my annual tax, 7420 27. Okay, we're 7420 27. That's my annual tax. Cool. That doesn't help me.
Right.
Because I need to break down that year by day. I've got to figure out if there's 360 days in our year.
Right.
If we've got a year that has 360 days, remember, every year is 360, every year. Every month has 30 days, not less, not more. Every month is 30, 360 days in a year. Now, I've got to figure out how many days of taxes belong to the seller. How many days of taxes belong to the buyer?
Right.
If I do that, I've got to figure it out. I've got to figure out what is the amount of tax per day charged on this property. Well, I got to divide it by 360.
Right.
I've got to divide it by 360.
And that's how you figure it out. The 2061.
Let's flip the question here. Bam! I just flipped the whole question with one word.
Paid. Okay.
What if your taxes were paid?
Okay.
Okay. If your taxes were paid in advance, let's say that the seller went ahead, got his tax bill in August, and paid right before we closed.
Right.
He paid the whole bloody year. He already paid 74, 20, 27. He paid for the whole year. Now, the buyer just got off scot-free.
Right.
The buyer the buyer is buying a house where he is getting $2,400 of taxes paid. That's not fair.
It's not going to be fair.
It is not fair. The reason it's not fair is because everyone's got to pay their share.
Right.
So if the seller prepaid, then who did not pay their share?
The buyer.
The buyer. So I have to charge the buyer. How much money am I going to charge the buyer?
The 24.
I'm going to charge the buyer his share of the taxes.
What is 24?
We figure out all the same numbers the same. So I've got to charge the buyer his share, which is $24,12.04. So in that case, the answer is now what? D.
Mm-hmm.
It's still a double entry.
It is.
It's going to be a seller who comes first. Credit for how much money? I'm going to credit the seller the amount of money the buyer is going to be charged.
24,1204.
Buyer debit or charge for 24, 12, boom, D. That makes sense.
Yep. Total sense.
Cool. Let's do another one.
All right.
All of these are fun. Tell me you're not having fun.
They are fun.
You can't say you're not having fun. The boss in between, yeah? Interim. So, somebody resigns. There's an interim position. That's not permanent. It's only for a short period of time. So what we're looking at is interim interest for the short period of time. So interim interest is from the day of closing, including day of closing, until the end of the month. That's interim interest. You're always paying from the day of closing to the end of that month. So let's say we close. So the way it works is, okay, let's say we close on September the 5th. September the 5th. Now, if we close on September the 5th, if the bank gives me the money to close on September the 5th, when are they going to start accruing interest? September the 5th. They're not going to give me a day off, period. Period. So if they give me the money for my mortgage on September the 5th, the second they give me the money for the mortgage, what are they going to start charging me? Ching, interest. Kind of like a taxi cab. Taxi cab doesn't start the meter when you pull away. Taxi cab starts the meter when you do what? Get in the cab. That's the way it works. So, if they're going to give me interest, if they're going to start me interest, the second they give me the money, and you close on, as an example, close on September 5th. Okay, so in other words, they're going to charge me interest from the 5th through the, how many days in every month? 30 days in every month. 30th. Okay, so a quick way to figure this out is 30 days minus my day of closing is 25, plus my day of closing. So I got 26 days of interim interest. Because you cannot forget that day of closing, yeah? So if we do this, if I close on September 5, I include the 5th, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 30. I've got 26 days of interim interest.
Shayla,
We're good on that far.
I put
We're
it
good
in
that far. We're about to get
the curtain.
deeper. We've got to get that concept that we include the day of closing for interim interest. But I'm not looking this if they ask us September, I'm not looking at the interest paid in October. I don't care because the amount of interest in October is going to be different. Then I don't look at November. I don't look at December. I don't look to the end of the year. I don't care. Why? Because by October and November, I want to be paying a different rate of interest versus principal. I'm only looking at interim interest, the temporary interest. If we're good on that one, this is what the problem will look like.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do one.
Okay.
A buyer is purchasing a home for Let's see. Buyer pays taxes for closing day. Buyer pays thereafter. Now, the interest and the taxes are two totally different things. You're not looking at interest on the taxes. Those are two totally different things. We only care about the day of closing. That's the key to that Uber now.
Okay.
The buyer's got the day of closing. Two things we got to look at for day of closing: taxes and interest. Taxes and interest. Interest on the mortgage. This is not a tax question. This question is all about the mortgage. All about the mortgage. So the Uber note deals with the day of closing, but those are two different things. One is interest, one is taxes. Cats and dogs.
Okay.
Cats and dogs living together. It's raining. Okay. Now this would be about the best way they could ask it. Okay? This would absolutely be the best way to ask it. So, we'll start with this one and then we'll muddy the waters a little bit.
Okay.
So, I've got a mortgage for $110,000. It's not talking about down payment. It's not talking about anything. So right now, what we're doing is, he's got a mortgage at 4.5%. 4.5% as a decimal is what? 0.045. So, if I take $410,000 at 0.045, that tells me that in the first year of that mortgage, I'm going to pay that amount of money. The interest, paid in the first year of the mortgage. So $18,450 is the interest I paid in the first year of that mortgage.
Right.
Okay. Are we good that far? That's your fundamental first step. $18,450 is the amount of interest you paid that first year. Now, how many days are in our year?
360.
I'm going to do the same thing. If I divide that number by 360, I am paying $51.25 a day in interest. $51.25 a day in interest. Now, you with me?
Yep.
You with me? Okay. Now, there are 30 days in November, just like every other month. I subtract the 10 days, but I add in that day of closing. Don't forget to add in that day of closing. So if I've got that 30 minus 10 plus 1, I've got what? 21 days of interim interest. 21 days times 51.25 is $1,076.25 in interim interest for the closing. When you go to the closing on November the 10th, the bank is going to charge you $1,000, so at $1,076.25 for the interim interest for the remainder of November. We don't care about December. We don't care about anything else. I only care about the 1 month of closing.
Right.
That's it. That's all I care about. That's the interest I've got to pay in the short period of time for closing. That's how it works. And I'll leave that one up for a second if you want to get a picture or anything else. So or write it down because we are about to muddy the waters a bit.
I am sure.
Shoot your questions now, or forever hold your peace.
Yes.
I'm just kidding. This is not the only time you get to ask questions. You can ask questions whenever. I really don't care. Email me, text me. I don't care. Good question. So this becomes strategy. So this all becomes strategy. For example, if you close at the end of the month, you got a very little amount of interim interest. But here's the deal. If I close in November, if you close on a property in November, when is your first mortgage coming out? When's your first mortgage payment if you close in November?
Depends on what your contract is.
Anybody get it?
Could be January, February.
January. January is your first. They're not allowed to charge you a mortgage for December. They're not. And we're going to learn later why. It is impossible.
Hey.
It is illegal for the bank to charge you a mortgage in December if you close in November. So it's all strategy. You get December off. That's cool. So if I close at the end of November, I got small interim interest, but I got that 1 month off. And then January comes. If I close at the beginning of November, I got a bigger interim interest, but it's kind of like I got all November off and December. Depends on your client. Some clients want to do that, but that is why you have the majority of closings at the beginning of the month and at the end of the month. It's all strategy then. It all becomes strategy.
Right.
Okay, let's do another. All right, let's go here. I won't muddy the waters too much yet.
Sure.
A buyer is closing on a property for Jeez, I kind of hacked that one, didn't I? Kind of hacked that one. But, let's see here. Buyer's closing on, did I give you enough information? Buyer's closing property 275 on an FHA loan at 3 3/4. Cool. Closing schedule. Yeah, I gave you enough information. Go for it.
Let's rock it out. Hey. So I got 275 times 360 days.
Okay, couple people coming at the same number. Cool. Cool. Let's see where we're coming from. You're all within so far you're all getting within a couple cents of each other. Cool.
My decimal is off, but I got it. Yeah, my decimal off, but I got it. I should have took that over one more time. It should have been there. My decimal was off. So move that over. Well, let's see.
Well, cool. Seems like we're all getting there. Okay. I've got a 275 loan. My interest rate is 0.075.
Right.
275 loan times 0.0375. So my first year of interest is 10,000 for $312.50.
Yeah.
Okay, seems like we're all on the road. Well, let's figure out how much is that a day. $28, and I'm going to round here. So that's where we're going to, and that's where we're getting off a couple pennies. A couple pennies from each other, we don't care.
Okay.
We don't care. As long as we're within a couple pennies of each other, we don't care. Okay, so it's $28.65 a day in interest. Now, how many days of closing?
14.
So I've got August the 17th to the end of the month. That's what? That's 14 days of closing, is that right? 14 days of closing. So if I times that by my 14 days, yeah, you're right at about 401, somewhere in change. You're somewhere there. You're about 400, somewhere about 401.
Okay. Okay, my love. So we are on lunch. The entire first part of class today was focusing on more real estate math, and I showed you guys 2 problems because I told you I was not going to talk that much today. When we come back, we're going to start with unit 4, and that's property description. So depending on what all that unit is about, I may show you guys some of that, but like I said, I'm not talking much. I'm just show you what we're doing on today. So I'll be back after lunch with property description, and yeah, that's that. Today was absolutely amazing. We spent the first portion of the class focusing on more real estate math. I actually showed you guys examples of that earlier in the video. In the last portion of the class, we just spent it on property descriptions. So, another great class in the books. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and hit that notification bell. I love you guys. And until next time, stay humble, my loves. I will see you in the next video.